So welcome to this year's Keynote 2020. My name is Carson. I'm the product manager of our PlantTools, and this is an interview I will have with Craig Wood from CRB about why they went with AutoCAD P90 or Plant3D with PlantTools, and the whole timeline, what led to that decision. So here are the two speakers, Greg from the US, he's in Kansas City, and I'm here in the middle of Germany. Again, most of you already know me, at least I see a lot of familiar names in the list. And so some words about Auxalia. Auxalia is a merger of the companies CAD Studio Upcom and Balzen Building from last year. And we are the biggest German-speaking reseller in the construction industry. We are also Platinum partner. We have over 70 employees. And our offices are mostly in Germany, but also in Vienna, in Switzerland, and a new one in Munich, which is, of course, also in Germany. Some pictures to get things started. Craig and I by now became friends. On the left side, you see a picture from the way to Sequoia National Park last year. We did before Autodesk University. And on the right side, this is our running gag. This is a frozen lake. It was 0 degrees Fahrenheit or minus 17.5 degrees centigrade. And we were putting our tent there and having a cold water bottle in the sleeping bag. At least I did. So that is actually a running gag. And so let's get started. I will switch actually to Skype so you can see the both of us. So here we are. Hi, Greg. How are you?
Hey, Carson. Doing well.
Good.
Thanks
good.
for having me on the keynote this year, and appreciate the privilege to be here.
Yeah, and I'm happy to have a supporter of PlantTools, of course. And so maybe you introduce yourself and about you and your company.
Sure. Yeah. Again, Craig Wood, based out of Kansas City, Missouri. I have been at CRB for about 10 years, well, a little over 10 years now. I do design system administration there, primarily for our P&ID software, and have worked with a lot of great people there on that effort, a lot of great teammates. And generally just really into problem solving in general. From a schooling standpoint, I kind of started taking engineering classes and kind of transitioned to computer science. But for me, it all kind of falls within that vein of problem solving, which is, I think, really rewarding type of work. And then when coupling that with what CRB does as a company, kind of our company's mission and values, it just kind of multiplies that effect. I'm a member of the Autodesk Expert Elite since 2013, as are you, Carson?
Right. What about that?
Yeah. So the Expert Elite program, a lot of folks within, I guess, users of Autodesk software who were invited by Autodesk and other Expert Elite members into the program. So this is a program where we all kind of have a online community, folks that get on the forum that help others and seek answers. So we do a lot of collaboration and just trying to, stay ahead of the curve where things are going. And Autodesk provides us with a lot of great benefits in that program. And so Carson and I are both members of that program, and it's been a really rewarding experience. But I guess I'd say from a standpoint of CRB, the company's been around since 1984. We're in the life sciences business and facility design, clean technology, sanitary process design and construction. And historically, our pedigree has kind of been biotechnology, pharmaceutical, lab design, gotten into food and beverage, and some of those emerging industries as well that have been kind of natural, I guess, extensions of our expertise from the real heavily regulated industry of biotech into some some of the plant-based food industries and pet foods, and lately with the coronavirus, it's been great to be involved with some of those projects with the companies directly working on therapeutics and vaccines for COVID-19.
Okay.
So that's a little bit about CRB and the work that we do, and so yeah.
Okay. I would be interested. So starting from the beginning, how did you work, or what software did you use, or before you opted then essentially for AutoCAD, Plant3D, or P&ID, with or without PlantTools? Just so how did you work, or what did you do before Plant3D?
Before Plant3D, a lot of our P&IDs were in regular AutoCAD, and as we begin to grow as a company, and project schedules only accelerate over time, and demands get heavier, and we want more out of our design deliverables, more data. So we kind of have shifted. Over the years, there's been quite an evolution of smart P&IDs at CRB. So going from regular AutoCAD, we kind of got into Plant4D in the early 2000s, and that was before I came to CRB, and learned a lot of lessons with implementing that software. And one of the takeaways from that software was we kind of took some of that development on in-house, which depending on your company and kind of what your core competency is, it might make sense to do something like that, or maybe not. For us, it wasn't really something that we ultimately found long-term benefit in trying to develop things too much in-house. So we then kind of moved on to I guess Intergraph at the time, but now Hexagon's Smart Plant. We used Smart Plant for a few years, and it was good with some things, but didn't quite fulfill all of our needs. So we kind of started looking around more, and we've also had some experience with Siemens Comos, and we kind of tested that out as well. But between Smart Plant and Comos, we had been looking into Plant3D and found that it's AutoCAD based, so that was a win. And oftentimes we get DWGs from our clients, and we also turn them back over, so kind of made sense for us to stay in the native format. But we found that Plant3D offered a great foundation for smart P&IDs, and leveraging PlantTools to really add some efficiency there and dig into the data a little bit more was really advantageous.
Okay, good. So how and when did you learn about, not so much Plant3D or P&ID at that time maybe, but how did you learn about Auxalia? Or at that time it was probably CAD Studio, because I was in Las Vegas. Maybe I actually cannot really recall. I asked you sometime, from time to time I ask you, I'm getting old, how did you learn about CAD Studio or Auxalia, and how did that happen or came about?
Well, when we first started using AutoCAD P&ID, we had a really big project, and it was over 400 P&IDs, and so there's a lot of data, and the difficulties we ran into was, there's a native import and export of data through the data managers. Everyone's probably familiar with. Well, we found some limitations there when you try to edit more than about, say, 60 or 70 P&IDs at one time in one import, it becomes problematic. So immediately started looking for a solution around this, and really scoured the web for different plugins and other third parties. I came across CAD Studio at the time, now Auxalia. Found you in Plant Data Manager, and for me that was the clear solution, and it offered so many other benefits too. So came out to Autodesk University that year and met you, and just a month later we had a license or two ordered, and we began using the software.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So Las Vegas. Yeah. So for other folks here apparently my colleague has a question. Okay. Apparently my picture is too large. Okay. Oh yeah, now it is actually. Okay, we don't want to cover your face. Thanks, Carson. So my colleague is also Carson. So So for the people here or attendees here in this webinar, Autodesk invited me with at that time it was not even I was not working for CAD Studio. I had my own company in Austria, AC Plant Consult, and we started the development of PlantTools in 2008. And Autodesk invited me in 2009. That was the first year where there was Plant 3D. It was on September 9th, 2009. And they had their first classes in Las Vegas for Plant, and they asked me to be one of the key speakers because we already had PlantTools for AutoCAD P90 and Plant 3D, and that time, Plant Data Manager, Plant Reporter, our first two PlantTools. Okay, so what was your impression about, well, the software, me and CAD Studio, or well, now auxalia? So what did we talk about? What was sharing ideas, or how did that work? Or
Yeah, so I think when I met you at Autodesk University, I immediately I could tell you had a really deep understanding of not just Plant 3D, but also the databases behind the software, which I was particularly interested in. So to me, that was kind of in all the research I had done, I hadn't really found many other experts out there who knew information about those factors to the degree that you did. So that's immediately when I believed that this is somebody I need to collaborate with and share challenges with. Clearly, they're producing solutions for some of these issues that we run into with the software out of the box. So, and then I later learned of your involvement, actually even before Autodesk, with Plant 3D, with the acquisition there too. So finding out that you were involved with the development even before Autodesk was involved. So that was also great to hear.
So apparently, nope. I thought my colleague had another question or hint. So for all of you who are not familiar, so Autodesk purchased the IP rights in October 2007 of AC Plant Designer, where to speed up the development of the 3D part of what is now Plant 3D. Then we started with AutoCAD P90 2008, 2009 with the development of PlantTools. So you mentioned bigger, or you had at least one big project, 400 P90s. That's really a lot. And let's say limitations or the restrictions of the data manager, which is part of Plant 3D or P90 at that time. Well, already Plant 3D, but anyway. And you learned about Plant Data Manager and that it helped you. So what else were, let's say, the initial, requirements or things where you saw gaps in Plant 3D, which you wanted to address?
Yeah, well, so that first project, ironically enough, that was us kind of learning Plant 3D for the first time. So to the extent we were using it with 400 plus P&IDs, we ran into situations where the client would have a change, something maybe in tagging, or maybe we wanted to have more data out of the P&IDs than we were currently configured for. So for instance, a specific example was we wanted to add acquisition rules midway through the project to acquire more data for reporting purposes. And the issue or limitation there with adding acquisition rules after you've already generated P&ID content is that there was no way to refresh those rules so that the data came through. So where Plant Express Tools, one of your products, had a project-wide or even drawing by drawing acquisition rule refresh command, which was tremendously time saving, especially at that scale. So, I mean, when you're already in the hundreds, the last thing you want to do is open up drawing by drawing, even if you only have to be in each drawing for 10 seconds. It's still,
Okay,
there.
so first of all, the function itself, but then of course, because of the number of drawings, you don't want to open that and execute some command manually for each of the 400 drawings, of course. Yeah. So yeah, so you can update acquisitions or tags for a specific drawing or just project-wide, and then it Plant Express Tools does the rest for you. Okay, interesting. Okay, just a side note about database, data structure. In the beginning, when I wanted to get my, well, let's say, learn about AutoCAD P90, 2008-9 was just a beginning of 2009, when I finally got a license from Autodesk, and I looked into it and I learned about the database. Actually, Autodesk said the official statement was from Autodesk, there is no database. It's what they call a data cache. They said, no, it's a database. So it was, and now all of our customers who use Plant Data Manager or Plant Reporter, specifically these two, really rely that there is a database, for example, to create a report without having Plant 3D running or editing the data, and be sure that, okay, I have all the data in the database and I can edit the data, and not needing to export something from Plant 3D to be able to edit them in Excel and so on. And some of you probably recall that at the beginning there was not even a report creator that came with Plant 3D 2012 and P90 2012, and that actually was Autodesk licensing our Plant Reporter. So eventually apparently the customer pressure was high enough that they decided they need something for reports. Their idea was, you can use Data Manager, export, have some Excel macro to create a list. Yes, no. Anyway, so this is how we started with Plant Reporter first. When I saw the product, okay, I said, how do you create a report? Well, and then was export to Excel, have an Excel macro and whatever. I said, no, maybe that works somewhere, but not in Germany. We have to be efficient. So we want to click on a button. Of course, that applies to most countries, but here, well, that's a different topic. But that is how we started with Plant Reporter, and then Plant Data Manager also came along. And we had actually in our old AC Plan Designer, which Autodesk acquired, we had a report creator, an external tool, and a data manager type of software to edit the data for AC Plan Designer outside the CAD environment. Okay, so so you started with some licenses, Plant Data Manager, Plant Link. I think where's the first licenses, Plant Express Tools, some licenses. So then, when you saw the functionality, and how did it, let's say, kind of transition to, well, now you have, I checked, you have 89 licenses. So how did you transition, or how did you expand PlantTools, and why did you, more specifically, why did you expand PlantTools, the licenses, and what were missing features, and how did that work? Just to make one package of questions.
Sure. So I'll try to break that down as well as I can.
Sorry.
No, it's good. I think once we saw the value and had the success that we did on the first few projects using AutoCAD P90, we realized, okay, we have a great foundation here with the software out of the box, but one of the things with CRB is we're always trying to push for more and push for better in general.
Yeah, that's true.
And so we all have very strong opinions, and it's great because we're constantly pushing each other for better results, and but we keep it fun, obviously. But one of those ways that gets manifested, though, is we demand more out of the software, and not just for our own benefit, but for our clients, and to make things available for them and our contractors and our construction group, just to kind of seamlessly get the information from the P&ID to our other deliverables and to the folks who need it most. So since we were already largely an Autodesk house, with using Revit for our models and a lot of other Autodesk software, P&ID seemed like a natural tool to start to grow widespread. We ultimately kind of decided that was the tool we standardized on, and in part, in order to really make that happen, we kind of really relied on the PlantTools. I've said it multiple times to different people that AutoCAD P&ID offers a great foundation for P&ID design software. It's very intuitive, very user-friendly. However, there are areas where, just as with any software, you need some specialized attention. And for us, with our high demands, that's where PlantTools came in to really, I'd say, supercharge the value that we acquired with the program. Obviously Autodesk isn't going to go develop every feature that every customer asks for. That's the the perfect way to. Yeah, it's the perfect way to put yourself out of a business if you're developing software. So applying the 80-20 rule, they're leaving enough room there for a company like Auxalia and you to come in and give us those specialized solutions. And so specifically, I think we expanded our Plant Express Tools licenses, Plant Spec Driven licenses, and mainly that was as we were kind of ramping up our usage of the tool and rolling it out across the company. We realized everyone would need access to some of those key features. There's a lot of functions that run on drawing save that update data or update a calculation or refresh acquisitions and things of that nature.
Yeah.
We decided we would need those things in order to derive that extra value out of them. So that's kind of in the transitionary phase where I guess how we approached it.
Yeah. Okay. So sounds good. Yeah. So for our listeners, it's I I recall that. So in April, I think I wrote it down somewhere. And yeah, April 2017, I was visiting Craig. That was in Kansas City, the first time, or the only time so far. But we meet usually, well, almost weekly online, but and in Las Vegas. Unfortunately, not this year. And so we do a lot of brainstorming. Greg often has ideas. Again, not just to have ideas because of demands within CRB or for CRB customers. So he's always very challenging. But yeah, of course, I like that. And the good thing is most of the ideas he has benefit other customers as well. That maybe brings me to our philosophy. If customers need some feature in our PlantTools, which or an extension of an existing feature, the way we operate then is the customer comes up with the requirement he has, and we talk. And if it's a very complex one, it may be needed that we have a face-to-face meeting, or well, now it's more like online. But if it's too intense, let's say, or too complex, then doing this over a call is maybe not enough time. But then, and I have over 32 years of experience and a lot of customers. So when I listen to this requirement, essentially what I'm doing is writing a specification, but from a user perspective, not from a developer perspective. So the user should see what I try, how to tackle that requirement, how the user interface might look like, and so on. If the customer then says, oh, yeah, that sounds about right. And of course, for those of you who know our PlantTools, I always try to be as flexible as possible with our tool. So if I develop a feature you request, I consider, because of my experience, a lot of other customers or similar features or things where we could use that. So I keep it flexible. The bolt calculation is actually a good example, where we went really over the top about over the original specification for the customer. But anyway, so if then you approve, okay, that specification covers our requirements, then we send you a quote which covers part of the development costs. And then if you send us the PO for that quote, then we develop this and we integrate this in the Plant tool. That is clear from the beginning if it would be, let's say, become part of Plant Express tools or Plant Spectrum and so on. And then it will be rolled out for everyone, also for other customers, through the regular update process. So the advantages are that, well, all customers get that feature, but keep in mind other customers also order development. So it's everyone don't want to say it's open, well, shareware or open source, but it's everyone participates in that concept. And of course, here, for the future, you don't pay us every time there is, let's say, a new AutoCAD version or there is a bug in that feature. That is just done then by the regular maintenance, the yearly maintenance. That is all covered. You don't. So it's really a one-time payment. So this is our philosophy in regards to development. And yeah, maybe that would be a good time to show actually the list from CRB development. So let me just. So this is the list CRB, well, ordered from the very beginning. So I don't want to go through all the features we have here. The ones at the bottom in green are the ones we are, well, which we still have to develop this year or the beginning of next year. So there is a long list, and because, yeah, Craig or CRB has a lot of demands to improve specifically the P&ID part. And some things maybe I want to mention, that is also the DWG property-based file name. The idea was to be able to have the file name of your, again, P&ID drawings, but that's not limited to P&ID drawings. To have the file name of your drawings essentially calculated or put together from your drawing property. So if you change a drawing property, the file name change. That small request led them to the development of Plant Project Manager and Plant Project Setup, which was, yeah, not the original specification, but it, well, the renaming, let's say, or the calculated file name, which it is now, was just then a small part of the Plant Project Manager and Plant Project Setup. Anyway, so that's a long list over, yeah, I think we started, the first one was in Plant Link with a leader 2016, I think, October or so, something like this, or August. That was apparently the first order for specific development, not for licenses. That's beside licenses. Okay, so yeah, so let me just check the time. Yeah, okay. So what, let me just check. Yeah, a lot of, I think we covered that with a list. So what are your future plans about features, or in general about, well, Plant 3D or P&ID or for CRB?
Well, as you noted, the items in green on that list, those are kind of what we're looking at for the rest of this year. Just trying to either extend features that are existing that the tools already offer to get more data or enhance quality, or shore up some deficiencies with things like the OPCs, you know, that we've OPCs could always use improvement. Just ask Autodesk. They tinkered with them for year after year, several years in a row. So, yeah, no, I think we're going to continue with the plan development, and you know, at CRB in general, we like to kind of reassess and kind of stop every now and then and kind of look where we are, make sure we're headed the right direction. And we do that with all of our tools, and you know, we've done that with P&ID, and based on the trajectory we have right now, we feel like we're in a pretty good position to continue down this road, and you know, and until the wind blows elsewhere, I guess, showing that, you know, the industry is going one way or the next, we kind of have to align with that. So I think in general, we just say that we try to stay aligned with the right partners, and you know, we've kind of went in with Autodesk and with Auxalia, and you know, that's who we believe are the right partners at this time. And but in general, yeah, I think I just want to add one other last note on kind of what you were saying there with your business model.
Yeah.
I've found particularly helpful in CRB in general, just based on, you know, like I mentioned earlier, with our experience with Plant 4D and what we had done there, is I really like your business model. I think it's very unique amongst a lot of third parties. that we could have partnered with, and to have you maintain the development so that we don't have to worry about, you know, upgrading from version to version, and make sure that everything is compatible, and not just compatible with the versions, but compatible amongst the different plugins themselves. So when we ask you to add development for one of the tools, you also make sure it has full compatibility with the other plugins on which it relies or is dependent upon. So that's tremendously valuable to us. And so we don't have to have an entire development staff that maintains these things. It's much more, it's a much better value proposition for us to pay the maintenance, you know, for that. So and just
okay, I understand.
let you take care of it.
Yeah, and maybe one final note. Well, not sure if it's the final note, but a note Greg told me, and I was very pleased to hear that, is that CRB's company president acknowledged that they are very happy with the progress. Well, we do, or Greg does, with the use of PlantTools and the development, because as he mentioned earlier, it's improving. Well, either reduces the fault rate in the PNIDs, or speed up the process of creating PNIDs, or provides new, let's say, well, services or new data models to CRB's customers. So I was very pleased that CRB is happy, not just Greg, which is of course the first stepping stone, but that also CRB is happy with the progress we are making. And there are so many ideas. Greg still comes up with new ideas that we kind of cannot keep up with the requirements. With the solutions, actually. The requirements are there. Developing is to keep up with the development. That's actually getting harder and harder. So, okay, I think, let me just check, but we have some notes, but I think we can conclude that that webinar, unless you have something else you want to contribute or so.
No, I just say, yeah, thanks again for the opportunity, and it's been a great past several years, and look forward to the remainder of the year and the years to come.
Yeah, and hopefully next year AU again. I really missed it this year. Okay, so thanks everyone for your attention, and I hope it was interesting for you. Almost everyone stayed online, and again, that it was recorded and will be made available next week for everyone who registered for that session. Okay, have a nice day, and Greg, see you soon.
Thanks, Carson.
And for all.